Hey, how's it going? Well, like I said, I wanted to make a video. People had a lot of questions about this device, where to hook stuff up, swapping the fan, um, what boards fit in here, and I just kind of want to open this up and just go through everything that's inside this machine. And hopefully I can answer a lot of your questions. There are some other things I want to go over after this video, and if you guys have any other questions, just let me know. Because after this too, I want to show everyone how they can set up their BIOS, um, so they can make sure that everything is working fine. Because a lot of people have these devices, and what happens is they think it's broken and it's not working right, when in reality it's really just how the BIOS is set up, and the BIOS is what comes before the operating system boots. It's that blue screen that has all these options. Sometimes it's gray, and you can adjust all the settings in there. But you do have to be careful on what you choose, otherwise it's not going to work right or not at all. So let's start this off. I already screwed the top, so I'm just going to open this up and show you what's going on the inside. I have two analog boards in here, two of these TAC analog boards, and I've labeled these 1 and 2 so I don't get these mixed up. So I actually drew 1 and 2 on here, so when I pull these out, I know exactly where they go in. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to unscrew this, because in order to get to anything else inside the board, we have to get underneath these boards. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to unscrew the back first. Because the reason I don't want to do those first is in case these slide out while I'm already doing this. So I'm going to unscrew these, and then I'm going to unlatch everything else on the inside there. And don't worry, these screws are grounded on the inside here too. So let's just take these off. Because a lot of these units are not even going to have these inside. They don't come with the board, with the unit itself. So you don't have to worry about that. Then what I do next, you want to pull it out evenly, just like that. Take these two guys off. And this unit's not plugged in at all, so you don't have to worry about that. Just kind of unplug these. You can tell some of these parts were added afterward. When I got this unit, it was already somewhat upgraded. I believe there's already a terabyte hard drive in here. There was a replacement DVD rewritable drive on it. These power cords are different than the original ones, so the power supply was actually replaced too. I'll go over all these parts just so you guys know what's going on in here. Now, you don't want to touch these silver screws, because this is what keeps the PCB board to the plate underneath. So the ones that you're looking for are basically just these right here. I know a lot of people have made some mistakes and unscrewed the other ones first, and realized that you really need those connected. So let's take those out. I think it should just slide out. You want to be careful with the capacitors here, because you don't want to hit them up against this. So just slide it out right against the bottom here. Now I have some padding over there that I'm placing it on. What you might want to do too is use some anti-static sheets. Just keep it right there. There you go. And then what we can do also is remove these parts, because we really want to get underneath to the bottom here. So let me just double check. Yep. see these screws here. You can kind of feel where they are, just to make sure. And now it's got these holes that are pretty convenient. Just enough room for a screwdriver. And you actually can use a magnetic tip. A lot of people are freaked out because they don't want it, you know, demagnetizing their hard drives or chips or anything like that, but you should be fine. They're not that strong with the magnetic tip. And then we got two more down here. And these are all the same size screws, so you don't really have to worry about these guys getting mixed up. As you can see, there you go, check that out. Now, this fan is kind of noisy, so I'm going to double test it. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to let you guys know the size. I'll measure it right in front of you, because a lot of people want to know what the replacement for this size is. I added an extra stick of RAM, so I've got some extra RAM in there. And then I might as well take the other side off too to show you what we got going on underneath here. Oh wow, looks like that one was missing some screws anyway. I know I have some backup screws, so I'm probably going to add some extra ones in here just in case, just to keep everything tight. I don't know what happened to some of the screws in there. And that's the right side, or left side, depending on where you are. So here's what we got going on in here. As you can see, we've got some extra power cables that were clamped down. Now, I might have another power supply that I could swap this out for. I'll have to double check because, in all honesty, and this one might be a bit noisy too. And the less wires in here, the better. So I might actually even buy another power supply for this. What I have for my computer is a power supply that the fan does not turn on unless a lot of power is being drawn out. So that's going to keep things quiet, and then I can replace this. I didn't change the board out. I do have another board that I was planning on doing. I'm going to have to cut the back up a little bit if I do that, but it's an Atom processor, and those, all they need is a heat sink. They don't need a fan or anything else because they are extremely low wattage. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to test this fan, see how noisy it is. And what I have here is a hard drive. What I have here is a separate hard drive dock. That's this is the power supply for it, and this is so I can boot up and test hard drives before I even put them in the computer. And this part here is actually swappable, so I could swap that out. And as you can see, I put a fan power thing on it, power supply, and these will just line up just like that. You know, you see those little slots in there? That actually lines up with the ones on here, so hear that? That's kind of noisy. So I'm gonna test some other fans that I have. I have a box of fans right here. I mean, it works nice. But that's still a bit noisy for what I want. And I believe I have a replacement here. Let's see if that's the same size. That's bigger. No, I actually might not have a fan size for that one. Oh, here we go. Got an AMD. That's the same size. I'm gonna just test how loud it gets. Um, well, it looks like it's a different type. Different type of connector here, which would, let's see, it would fit in there. But do I have the proper connector for this? I think so. Let me double check. This one's a lot more quiet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap this one out for that. I mean, you can hardly hear it in comparison. And what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to show you right here. So it's 2 inches and 3/4. 3/4 right there. 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Perfect. So as you can see, that's really dirty. So I'm gonna clean this guy up with some alcohol, some Q-tips before I put that in the computer. And then I'm gonna remove this guy. So you can see. Okay, so I cleaned it up. I used the just some Q-tips. I got all the dust off, and then what I did after that was I used wet Q-tips, and I just cleaned up all the dry dust that was left over, and I mean, it looks pretty much brand new. I'm gonna show you post what model this is, just in case you're completely curious and you want the same exact one I did. This is a brushless. This is a brushless fan, or brushless motor inside the fan, so there's no touching parts specifically. So I did want to let you know that. And what I'm going to do here is, this is where the air pushes out of. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to push it down like that. Make sure it reaches. Plug it into the board there. But at some point I might want to swap out the thermal paste. So let's see what we got here. We got an 80 gigabyte hard drive in there. So I'm only going to get a few projects at a time. So I might want to upgrade this to a terabyte, and or maybe an SSD hard drive. But that'll be for another video. This video is pretty much just opening it up and swapping the fan out, because someone had questions about the fan. Someone also had questions about how to hook up and where everything goes on the inside here. So what I do want to show is the hard drive is connected with a SATA port right here. This is the SATA, and this goes to the hard drive. We got a ribbon that is connected to the board right down on the bottom here. Right down. Let's see. See that? It's actually connected directly to the motherboard. There's a slot for the ribbon on the motherboard. This board gets pushed right into the... There's a PCI slot down here on the board. There's another PCI slot for something else, but that's not hooked up. Let me take a... just so you guys can see. I'm going to post that to show you what the motherboard model and make is. I added some extra RAM here. Let me just double check what kind of RAM I have. These swap out pretty easily, just like any stick. Let's see. So 212. These are 212, and it looks like 3200. That's the speed. So I got 1 gig of RAM in here, which isn't too bad for this older machine. I can always upgrade that. This board probably takes a maximum of maybe 2 to 4 gigs. So I might want to do that too. I put a fresh battery in here, the CMOS battery. That's a fresh one in there that I swapped out. That's so I didn't have to set up the BIOS every time it got unplugged. Let's see. This comes with it. This is the digital in and out right here. This is my other IOs for the MIDI, and time code, and remote right here. And if I turn this around, let's see, and that's the power. This is the main power right there. What's underneath there? Yeah, right there. This is the info for the power supply. And someone had some questions about where the front piece goes. Now I'm not sure exactly, but I'm going to take some pictures. Just so they get an idea. Now I think this is what someone had a question about. They weren't sure exactly how this front piece gets set up to this connection here. Gets connected into the same spot that this thin wire gets, the yellow and black wire right here. So that's going to go right back here. I'm going to take a picture. Let's see. So this one goes as far to the right side as possible. Okay, so these are the fire wires. So the fire wire goes on the left side here, in case anyone has any questions on how that gets set up. And then that's the power. And that's where the power goes. So that should pretty much cover everything so far as to what goes in here. Any other questions, just let me know. What I'm going to do is I'll probably open this up again in the future, and I'm going to upgrade some stuff like this. I'm going to put probably maybe a terabyte solid state hard drive in here. I might probably going to swap out the power supply and get an ultra quiet one, probably a Core's hair. So that'll be quiet, won't make any noise. This won't make any noise because it'll be a solid state. This is very much, the noise has been lowered a lot for this. If there's a better fan I come across, I'll let you guys know, and that'll be quiet as possible. And this is all without swapping this board out yet. I'm going to upgrade the RAM. I'm probably going to put maybe 2 or 4 gigs in here and let you know what the maximum this board can hold is. It's probably 2 or 4. I pretty much guarantee it doesn't go higher than that on an old board like this. I'd be really surprised if it goes up to 6 or 8 gigs. And that's pretty much that. So now I'm just going to close it back up, show you guys what's going on here. So we got slot number 1 right here. It should just pop right on in, just like that. Let's see. Slot number 2. Just like that. and these are only going to go in one way because they have little notches on them. So there we go with that. I got this hooked up. Everything on the inside's hooked up right now. So let me get my plates. Got one on the left and one on the right. There we go. Nope, goes like that. So that'll sit on there. Right on top. Yeah. Like I said, all these screws are all the same size. So let me just get these guys in first. These two. I'm just loosely sitting them in there first before I tighten them all. Sometimes you want to go backwards first, just so it sits in there right, and then you can go on tightening it again. Now this middle one that's so when you put as you can see from the beginning of the video, that's so when you put the PCB board for either the analog or any ones you have, maybe you have the digital PCB card, but that's what that's for. So you leave that middle one open. I like to guide that with my thumb. Kind of like you're playing pool there. That's in place. Now I can get my boards. These are both identical, so like I said, you want to make sure that those caps don't get hit. That'll fit there, right like that. Let's get this guy lined up first. There you go. Slot number 2. Let's get that guy right in there, and that'll just sit on top. Get my other board. Because if you mess up these caps, you're going to have a pretty hard time getting them back on, especially if you don't do any soldering. There you go. Put one of these guys on the back. Go get the rest of those. Now you do want to make sure that you have all the screws in the back here, especially because the way the TIDF cables are going to be pulling on these things and hanging on there, you want to make sure that this back is really secure. So make sure you get all those screws in there. Alright, so after that, just want to make sure you get these guys back in. Like so. Then you want to make sure these have power. There you go. And that about does it for this video. You just pop this top back on, Make sure that little flap goes underneath there first. Drop that guy on. So that's pretty much the video. I just wanted to, show people the inside of this thing, how it's set up, answer some of the questions people had about it, and the next video is going to be on how to set up the BIOS. And then after that, I'm going to show you guys how to upgrade the system. I know not everyone has upgrades for it, and it still runs how it is. But that's pretty much the video. So I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned. If there's anything else I missed or anything else you want to check out, just let me know, and I'll be seeing you again. Cool. Well, take care. Till next time.